Hey guys, just wanted to do a video to give you some feedback on the results from exam 2, at least show you what it looked like class-wide so you have some context for interpreting your score. Let me go ahead and change the font size here so everybody's going to be able to see this. So just real quick, here's what these lines are just arbitrary. There's a lot of people, like for example in this break, there were a lot of people at 88, 89. I mean, that's one multiple choice question away from being in a higher group. I don't think those lines are really meaningful, but it's just how we tend to look at the scores. There's a lot of scores right on the edge. Same thing in the 70s bracket, we had a lot of 79s. And then even down here, yeah, okay, it's marked as less than 70, but half of this group, at least half of this group is only 2 points away. So it's not really meaningful to put these in those groups. It's just how I tend to report them. Median score, remember, median is half did better, half did worse. And the median for this exam was 79. You'll see that I have unlocked the exams. You should be able to go in and actually look at your answers now and see what scores came from which questions. I'm sorry I didn't do that earlier. I always forget that the default is you can't see anything. But don't be afraid to ask, by the way. Nobody had emailed me to say, hey, I'd like to see where those came from. I could have maybe been nudged to do that a little quicker. You get to be as old as I am, and you need the reminders. So you guys I'm not going to get offended if you ask something like that. You're helping me. So just wanted to mention that. Yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, this is not the ideal way to deliver a class. I'm kind of constrained on the stuff that I am supposed to talk about and I'm supposed to give an exam on. The exam questions, especially the awkward ones, I didn't create those. Some of them I have. And I've done it the way that I ask you to learn. I mean, a lot of times I'm looking at these exam questions and modifying them in my own words because I think they're confusing when I leave them in the original form. And so some of those questions on the exam, if you felt like, gosh, I'm not really sure what this is asking, yeah, I share that concern. On the other hand, by going through this class and scoring better than a B-, you're getting industry credit towards industry expected knowledge. And so that means I have to be a little careful in how much I'm able to change what the industry expects you to know. One of the advantages you have is you can look at books and notes. I mean, if you were taking this exam on an industry basis, you just have to know it. But I know what happens there, right? I mean, everybody crams and memorizes, and then they forget it as soon as the test is done. And in my mind, that's not education. So I don't have a problem with people having access to books and notes because in reality, that's what the situation is going to be. You're going to be expected to solve problems, but nobody's going to lock you in a room and say you can't have any resources. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So anyway, long story short, here was how the exam broke down. You can now look in and see for specific questions. I don't want to go over question by question with everybody. Some questions people did really well on. Some questions were really difficult for the whole class. And that's kind of the pattern that I saw, was that if there was a question causing a problem, it generally caused a problem for everybody or most people in the class. It was rare to see some people get specific problems exactly perfect. My grading, the way I do it, generally, if it's an answer I could hold up to the class and say, this is the right answer, that gets full credit, 10 out of 10 usually. If we aren't quite there, then the best it's going to be able to do is probably a 7 out of 10. And as I'm grading, I'm saying to myself, could I show this to the class and say that this is the right answer? Or would I have to say this is close, except this is one part that we forgot about? So that's the difference in my mind between a 10 and a 7. And if it's a 5, that usually means we had multiple problems. In general, if you answered the question and you weren't way out of order, you generally got at least 5. So don't leave questions blank. That's one big piece of advice. We had a couple of people do that this time. I can't give any credit for that. So you end up getting a 0 where it would not have been hard to get 3 or 5. The hard part comes in getting it from 5 to 10 for the questions that have 10 points. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. I don't want to just ramble on here. If you have specific questions, please let me know. That's my job. And I'm happy to talk about that. Again, overall, good job. I'm happy with how the class did on this exam, and we're going to go from there. Thanks for your patience, guys.